Hello, everybody, and welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you'll stay. Espero que te quedes. Hoy estoy aquí con mi amigo Jharic, que es de Filipinas. Saluda.
Hola a todos, soy Jharic. Yo vivo aquí en Filipinas. But I
Perfecto.
speak very little Spanish, okay, so don't expect too much.
Well, estábamos esperando mucho porque se supone que ahí en tu país se habla o se hablaba antes muchísimo español. Porque creo que era 1521 o así que llegaron los españoles y estuvieron ahí 3 siglos. 3 siglos y el español
Yes.
fue el idioma oficial que unía a todo el pueblo, todos los pueblos, ¿no? Am, está bien, si no puedes hablar todo en español, puedes hablar en inglés también, ¿vale? No pasa nada. Entonces, ¿qué me
Okay.
puedes decir de tu país? What, tell me a little bit about the country, el país, ¿cómo es?
Okay, well, the country of the Philippines is a group of different islands, diferentes
Islas,
islas, and
islas
they
pequeñas.
are, yes, they
Okay.
are separated from each other. We have 7,000 plus islands here in the Philippines, and each
Wow,
island they speak a different language. We have 170 languages or dialects
wow.
in the entire Philippines, but everyone knows how to speak English and Filipino. So from the north to the south,
Sí,
they may have different languages or dialects of their own in
sí.
their pueblo, but everyone knows how to speak English and Filipino.
Ok. Y el español sigue ahí como muy importante. Hay un pueblo allí donde se habla principalmente el español.
Uh,
Is there a village where
Translator.
only speak Spanish or mostly
Sorry,
Spanish?
sorry.
Is there a village where they speak mostly Spanish in the Philippines up to today?
Yes, there is a city located in the south of the Philippines called Zamboanga, and there they most of them speak Spanish. The language is called Chabacano, which
Chabacano, okay.
is yes, which is a Spanish Creole language here in the Philippines, and there are about 600,000 plus inhabitants in that city, and they all speak Chabacano. Chabacano is
Okay.
basically a mixture of 70% Spanish and 30% Filipino
Okay.
or
Um,
Cebuano.
que eso es muy interesante. Estaba mirando unas palabras chabacanas y la verdad es que las entendía porque sonaban como el español, o sea, they sounded so Spanish that I knew what they meant. And so I found that
Yes.
quite interesting. But for you, tú aprendiste el español o no? Did you
Sorry,
study-
you got
did
cut
you-
off.
oh, okay. ¿Aprendiste el español en el instituto? Did you learn Spanish at school?
Yes, I learned a little bit of Spanish when I was still in Spain. I was in Spain year 2018 up until last year, 2019.
Okay.
But the thing is, I was an auxiliares de conversación, so I was speaking in English in the school.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to grasp a lot of Spanish, but
Okay.
I learned a little bit.
Okay. Que muy bien. Me gustaría hablar de datos interesantes de Filipinas. So interesting facts about Philippines. And I'm going to start off, and then you can probably add some to teach us a little bit more. So for the first one, el nombre Filipinas deriva del rey Felipe II. So that's where Philippines got its name from Philip II. Are there any other
Yes.
interesting facts that you'd like to share?
Well, so we have been colonized by we were colonized by Spaniards for over 333 years.
Okay.
Some say it's over 400 years, some say 300 years, but with what I learned, it was 333 years. And with
Yeah.
that colonization, um, there were so many things that Spaniards contributed to the Philippines. Like, for example,
Tienes
our language. It's
Sebastián,
for our for example, our language, Filipino. It's filled with Spanish words. Also, the food here in the Philippines is very close to the food there in Spain. That's why when I was
yeah,
there, I didn't feel really homesick when it comes to food because it really tasted the same as we
yeah.
have here. Like we have cochinillo. We
Ah,
have
okay.
in the Philippines we have paella. We have carillada, but we call here in the Philippines caldereta, which is
Ah,
basically the
okay.
same.
The same, lo mismo, es
We
lo
have
mismo.
callos and lentejas. We have lentejas here also
Ah,
in the
okay.
Philippines, but we call it munggo. But it's
Yeah,
basically the same thing.
yeah.
So yeah, so most of the culture, also our traditions, we have fiestas. We also call it fiestas.
Ah, okay.
We celebrate different saints. So like for example, here in Manila, here in one of the cities near Manila, it's called San Juan. So they
Ah,
celebrate
okay.
San
Bueno,
Juan.
okay. Que hay
Yes.
muchos
So
sitios de...
so basically that, and also the language is very pure. It's like a mixture. I'd say Filipino is a mixture of English, Spanish, and native Tagalog, which is
Ah,
our one of the dialects here.
okay, fantastic. One of the things that I found very interesting was the fact that los apellidos son españoles, ¿no? Explícame eso.
I have a quick question. I have a quick story about that. When I went to Andalusia, one of the tourist guides there, I forgot his name. I think Manuel. He asked for my name because when he knew that I came from the Philippines, he
Yeah,
asked for my name, and then I said my name is Jharic Lago. Well, my real name is John Lago, and then he was like, okay, I guess it's gonna be like that. Your first name would be American because we were also
yeah,
colonized by the Americans, and
yes.
your last name would be Spanish. And I
Which means,
also brought a friend with me, Army.
yeah,
So he also has the same name. So an English name which is Army, and then a Spanish last name which is Alfonso.
yeah,
So I don't know the etymology of that or where it
yeah,
came from, where it originated, but maybe because of the colonization. But most
yes.
of the last names we have in the Philippines are Spanish. Like my last name is Lago. I have friends who are
Yes.
Castillo, Diaz,
Yeah,
Reyes, Santos, a
yeah.
lot of Spanish last
Sí, sí, sí.
names.
No, but aprendimos esto, ¿no? Que había un decreto colonial que obligaron a todos los filipinos cambiar de apellidos, ¿no? So gradually, all Filipinos were required to change their last names to Spanish
Mm-hmm.
last names. So up until today,
Spanish. Hmm.
they're all Spanish, which is
Yes,
something
they are.
bastante curioso. It's quite strange, but it's something that exists
Really.
today, which you know, it is an interesting mix. English first names and then Spanish surnames. It's fun.
Correct.
Okay.
we actually just we actually just got accepted in I don't know if you know the pageant called Miss Reina Hispano Americano. So it's a
Ah,
pageant in Bolivia. It's an international pageant, but it originated from Bolivia, and
yeah,
that pageant only hosts countries who are Spanish speaking, like Latinos or
yes,
Spain. And then we got accepted, I think, 2 years ago because when they viewed our traditions, our culture in the Philippines, it's
yes,
very Spanish like.
it's
It's
very
very
Spanish.
Hispano,
Yes.
Hispanic. So they accepted us, and we actually won our first crown, I think, 2 years ago with
Enhorabuena.
that pact. Yeah.
That's brilliant. You know, I want to learn some some Filipino words because, and I've been doing my research. Okay, I've been trying to see things that exist in Spanish, that exist in Filipinas también. Y he aprendido cinco. Okay, the first word is yo-yo, el juguete, yo-yo,
Sorry,
yo-yo.
I cannot hear it.
Es que se congela. La primera palabra, yo-yo, que es un
A
juguete.
yo-yo.
Sí, 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 sí. Eso existe does that exist in Philippines?
It does exist in the Philippines. It's a juguete. It's a
Yeah,
game.
sí, sí, es un juguete.
So
Sí, sí.
yeah, so it's basically
No,
the same.
yeah. Okay. The other word that I found that was Filipino as well, and it exists in Spanish, is bobo. Bobo.
Bobo. Okay, someone who is not smart is Bobo.
Yeah.
We basically use that too.
Yeah. And the next word that I looked up that was Filipino was influenza, which was gripe, the flu. And I
Yeah, yeah.
thought that's quite similar to Spanish, influenza. Yeah. And
Yes.
another word, cerrado, which is cerrado in Spanish.
Cerrado. Sí.
Yeah. And the last word that I found, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these properly at all in Filipino, I don't know, was litrato. Litrato, which was fotografía. I don't know if it's right or
Sí.
not.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, how will I explain it first? The Filipino language, we actually pronounce it almost the same as Spanish. So when you say
Okay.
cerrado, we
Yes.
actually, but it's spelled differently in the
Yes.
Philippines. So it's Sarado. So we say
Yes.
sarado, but it's the
Cerrado.
same
It's
pronunciation.
the same.
But it's
Yeah.
not cerrado, but it's the same pronunciation,
It's
sarado.
similar.
And what was the last word that you mentioned? Sorry,
Litrato. Litrato, which is photography.
litrato.
Litrato.
Yeah, so we also pronounce it that way, but with it's spelled Litrato, but we say
Exactly.
litrato.
Exactly. Okay. I actually love this, and I did a video about Spanish speaking countries, and someone left a comment and said, you forgot the Philippines. Nosotros hablamos también el español, pero claro,
Sí.
no todo el mundo. It's not everyone. It's not everyone.
Yeah, yeah. In the educational system of the Philippines, my mother actually she was part of that. This
Okay.
was before, like in my mother's time. It's one of their subjects, asignaturas in our educational system before. So we were learning Filipino, English, and Spanish before, and then I don't know what happened, but they removed Spanish and it was just Filipino and English. But most
Okay.
of the older people in the Philippines, they know how to speak Spanish. Like my mother, she knows how, to speak Spanish. And as I told you, the Filipino language itself is filled with a lot of palabras in Espanol. So when I actually came in Spain, I don't have any idea what the language is, the Spanish language is, but
Okay.
I was able to understand like 40-50% then
Yeah.
because of the keywords or like
Yeah.
different words that I know in Filipino, but you guys
Yeah.
also speak it in Spanish.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Es una ventaja. It's an advantage because you come from a country where, they're like your basically cousins in language. Okay, I
Yeah.
would like you, please, could you teach us a sentence, an important sentence in Filipino?
Okay.
So, not too long, not too long, not too complicated.
Yeah.
Something important, useful.
Wait, I'm thinking of wait. No. Ang maleta ko ay berde.
Angamal, angamal,
Ang I'll
ang
repeat it. Okay, so here's a sentence that I saw. So this is in Filipino. This is a Filipino sentence, but I bet the Spanish people would also understand it. So it says, ang maleta ko ay verde.
ang maleta con ay verde or something like that. Is it something about a
Yeah,
green suitcase?
yeah. So my suitcase is green.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see
So
that. Yeah.
yeah, because we say verde when it comes to green, but we also have another translation for that. It's luntian, but we also say verde. And for
Okay.
maleta, for luggage, we say maleta.
Maleta. Okay. Easy peasy. That's actually quite cool. How would you say hello? Pleased to meet you. Hola, encantado de conocerte o conocerle. How would you say that?
Sorry, hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
hello, kinagagalak kitang makilala. It's very different.
That was
It's very different.
way too long. I would need to see it written down.
Yeah, but it's just keywords also in Filipino. Like the Spanish words are only keywords. But when you say, like for example, when I came there, like I can understand the keywords, but like how you guys make sentences, like for example, how do you guys use the word are or is or como? It's very different in Filipino.
Okay.
Only the keywords.
Okay. It's very interesting, but I feel as though it's way too fast for me, and I would need to take some lessons before I'd attempt to say a sentence. So maybe I'll just stick
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
right now. Um,
But I think Spanish it's the same in the Filipino. It's a vice versa that Spanish people would be able to learn and understand the Filipino language
quite,
easier, and
yeah,
also vice versa for Filipinos. It's easier for us to learn Spanish because of how many words that are integrated in our language.
yeah, absolutely. Jharic, thank you so much for joining us and for
Thank
explaining a
you
little
for
bit
inviting me
about
over.
Filipinas. Y chicos, hasta la próxima vez. Y si todavía no habéis suscrito al canal, por favor, hacedlo ahí abajo. Y hasta pronto. Hasta pronto.